That was what the map said. That was what Command had said too, in their flat, distant voices. An abandoned relay station, long past its use, drifting on the edge of explored space. No life signs, no danger, just another quiet place for a lonely patrol. Sergeant Elias Wren walked through the station's main corridor alone. His boots echoed softly against the metal floor. The lights above flickered, some working, some dead. Dust floated slowly in the air, moving only when Elias passed through it. Everything smelled old burnt wiring, cold metal, and time. He did not mind the silence. After 6 years in deep space patrol, silence had become familiar. Almost comfortable. Almost. Elias checked the readings on his wrist display. Oxygen levels were low but stable. Power was minimal, coming from a backup core that refused to fully die. No movement. No voices. No signals. Then he heard it. A sound so faint that at first he thought it was only his imagination. A voice. Please. Elias froze. He lifted his rifle slightly. Not aiming. Just ready. His heart beat faster. Not from fear, but from surprise. The station was not supposed to have anyone inside. Still, he moved carefully, following the sound. The corridor opened into a wide junction. Broken signs hung from the ceiling, written in alien scripts that his suit slowly translated. Cargo routes. Communication arrays. Emergency shelters. The voice came again. Please. Just end it quickly. Elias stepped forward. She was sitting against the wall near a sealed doorway. She was not human. Her body was thin, wrapped in torn fabric that might once have been a uniform. Her skin was pale blue, marked with faint lines that looked almost like veins of light. Her eyes were large and dark, fixed on him with pure fear. She tried to move away, but her strength failed her. Instead, she raised one shaking hand. "Don't come closer," she whispered. "Please. If you are going to do it, just end it quickly." Elias lowered his rifle at once. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said calmly. The translator in his helmet adjusted the words into her language. She flinched anyway. "You're human," she said. Her voice cracked. "It doesn't matter what you say." Elias stopped a few steps away, making sure to keep his hands where she could see them. "I didn't even know anyone was here," he replied. "I'm just on patrol." She laughed weakly, a broken sound. "That's how it always starts." Elias frowned. Something was wrong. This was not the reaction of someone afraid of an enemy soldier. This was deeper. Older. "Why do you think I want to kill you?" he asked. Her eyes moved to his chest, to the human emblem on his armor. Then she looked away, ashamed and terrified. "Because of what you left behind," she said. Elias did not understand. "I don't know you," he said gently. "And I've never been here before." She swallowed hard. Her breathing was shallow. She looked exhausted, like someone who had been running for a very long time, with nowhere to go. "You don't remember," she said. "None of you ever do." Elias took a slow step closer. That was when he saw it. On the side of her neck, just above the collar of her torn clothing, there was a mark. At first he thought it was a wound. Then he realized it was too clean, too perfect. A symbol had been burned into her skin. It glowed faintly, a soft orange light, like dying embers. The lines formed a shape Elias recognized instantly. His blood ran cold. It was human. Not just human-made, but official. A sol accord symbol. Old and precise. One he had only seen in history files. The moment he noticed it, the symbol pulsed. The light grew brighter. The woman screamed. She curled into herself, pressing her hands against her neck as if trying to hide the mark. Her whole body shook. "No, no, no," she cried. "You saw it. I knew it. I knew it." Elias rushed forward without thinking, kneeling a short distance away. "It's okay," he said quickly. "I'm not going to touch you." The symbol reacted again. The glow shifted, changing color slightly, as if responding to his presence. Elias stared at it in disbelief. "That mark," he said slowly. "Where did you get it?" She laughed again, tears running down her face. "Where do you think?" she said. "From you." "That's impossible," Elias said. "Humans did not do this." Not officially. Not ever. Branding living beings was against every law the Soul Accord had written. We don't mark people, he said firmly. Her eyes snapped back to him, burning with anger and fear. Then why does the entire galaxy know it? She demanded. Why do they run when they see it? Why do they close their doors and turn off their lights? Elias had no answer. He activated his suit scanner, careful to keep his movements slow. A soft beam passed over the symbol. His display filled with warnings. Human origin identifier detected. Classification. Legacy protocol. Status. Active. Elias felt sick. Legacy protocol meant old. Very old. From a time before he was born. Before many of the current laws. This shouldn't exist, he whispered. The woman hugged herself tighter. They say it means I belong to you, she said quietly. That I am claimed. Elias shook his head. That's not what it means, he said automatically. She looked at him, hollow-eyed. Then why am I alone? The question hit him harder than any weapon ever could. Elias sat down on the floor, lowering himself to her level. He removed his helmet so she could see his face. Human. Tired. Honest. I don't know what this mark is doing to you, he said. But I swear to you, I did not come here to hurt you. And I won't leave you like this. She studied his face, searching for lies. Slowly, her breathing began to calm. You're different, she said. I'm just a soldier, Elias replied. That's what scares me, she said softly. The symbol on her neck dimmed, settling into a weak glow. Elias looked down the empty corridor behind him. He was supposed to finish his patrol and leave within the hour. Report the station as empty. But it wasn't empty, and neither was the past humanity had left behind. For the first time in years, Elias felt the heavy weight of his uniform not as armor, but as responsibility. He looked back at her. What's your name? He asked. She hesitated, then answered, and somewhere deep in the silent station, the relay systems stirred. Listening, the woman looked at him cautiously, her large dark eyes still full of fear. Elias could see the faint glow of the mark on her neck, now dimmer but still visible. My name is Lyra, she said quietly. Lyra Thale. Elias nodded. I'm Elias Wren. I'm a patrol soldier. I don't know why this mark is on you, but I promise I'm not here to harm you. She let out a shaky breath. It's not about harm, it's everything else. Everything they did after it was left on me. Elias frowned. They? Who? The humans, she said, almost whispering the word. Or at least, the ones who came before you. They left it. And the galaxy remembers it. Elias's heart tightened. Humans, his own people, were not supposed to do this. Branding a living being, leaving a mark that would make them feared and hated across star systems. It was impossible. It wasn't supposed to. He started, but his words faltered. He didn't know. He only knew what he had been taught. Humanity followed rules. Humanity helped, not harmed. Lyra's eyes darted toward the far end of the corridor. You don't understand. With this mark, I've been alone for years. Planets close their doors. Ships avoid me. Even food and medicine are refused. They think I'm cursed. Dangerous. Elias swallowed hard. The glow of the symbol on her neck pulsed again. He could almost feel it in the air, like the mark was alive, reacting to him. Show me, he said softly. I need to understand. She hesitated. It's not just a mark, she said. It's a name. A signal. They made it to show that someone important, claimed me. But no one told the galaxy the truth. No one corrected them. And now I'm trapped. Not by bars, not by walls, but by fear. Elias ran his hands over the scanner built into his suit. It hummed softly, reading the symbol. Data filled his display. Human origin identifier detected. Classification. Legacy protocol. Status. Active. Description. Ownership mark Soul Accord. He froze. Ownership mark? He had seen the term before in old history records, but it was buried deep in files that no one cared about anymore. It was supposed to be a protective measure, never a weapon. The purpose of the mark had been to ensure the safety of beings in conflict zones, a symbol that said, "This individual is under human protection," and somehow, somewhere along the line, that meaning had been lost. Twisted. Misunderstood. "Do you see?" Lyra whispered, her voice shaking. "It's human. But no one remembers the real meaning. They all think, I am a threat. I've had to hide for years. I've been running from the galaxy itself." Elias clenched his fists. That's not right." She laughed bitterly. "Right? Right doesn't matter out here. It's survival. You're human. You have the right to ignore it. I have no right to hope." Elias shook his head. "No. Not this time. I'm not going to ignore it. I won't." Lyra looked at him, surprised. You actually mean that?" "I do," Elias said firmly. "If no one else fixes this, then I will. I swear." The two of them sat in silence for a few moments. The station creaked softly around them. Elias could hear the hum of failing lights and the soft pulse of the mark on Lyra's neck. Somehow, it was alive, almost like it knew he was there to help. "I need to know everything," he said finally. "The story of this mark, how it came to be, why the galaxy fears it." Lyra nodded, her thin hands clutching at her knees. She took a deep breath, as if summoning courage. "It started long ago," she began. "Before my time, before your time. The humans of the Soul Accord. They were exploring many systems, helping where they could. Wars were fought. Many species were afraid. They created the mark to protect certain individuals, to show that humans were responsible for them, that no harm would come, that they were under human care." Elias listened closely. "And the galaxy forgot?" "Yes," Lyra said bitterly. "Or maybe they wanted to forget. Somewhere along the way, the mark stopped being a promise. It became a symbol of fear. Anyone with it was treated as dangerous. They thought being claimed by humans meant being taken, controlled, or cursed. No one ever tried to explain. No one ever tried to correct it." Elias's jaw tightened. He felt a deep anger rising inside him. Not at Lyra, not even at the galaxy, but at the fact that humanity, by accident or neglect, had caused this. "I'm going to fix this," he said again. "I don't care what it takes." Lyra shook her head. "You don't understand. The galaxy is bigger than your good intentions. Even if you tell them the truth, it won't matter. Fear is easier than understanding. And I've been living with it for years. Alone." Elias looked at her, seeing the exhaustion, the loneliness, the years of isolation etched into her face. She wasn't just a survivor, she was a ghost. Forgotten and abandoned. "I understand enough," he said softly. "I understand that you shouldn't be alone. That this mark shouldn't define you. And I won't leave you like this." The symbol on her neck pulsed again, stronger this time. Elias could feel it in the air. Like the station itself was acknowledging his words. "You're different from the others," Lyra said quietly. "I can feel it. Maybe you really will try." Elias nodded. "I will. And first, I need to find the records. I need to know everything about this mark. Where it came from, why it's here, and how we can change the way the galaxy sees it." Lyra's eyes filled with tears, but she smiled faintly. "It's dangerous. The records are protected. Some humans won't want you to find them. They'll call it classified, restricted, dangerous knowledge. Even if you find them, they may try to stop you." Elias didn't flinch. "I don't care. I can't let someone suffer because of a misunderstanding that humans created. Not anymore." The woman nodded. "Then, maybe there is hope." For the first time in years, she allowed herself to hope. Elias stood and looked at the long corridor stretching into darkness. Somewhere along the way, this station had become more than a patrol post. It had become the starting point of something bigger. He glanced back at Lyra. Stay close. I'll protect you. Not because I have to, but because it's the right thing to do. She hesitated, then nodded. She slowly got to her feet, wincing as the mark pulsed faintly on her neck. It seemed less threatening now, almost aware. Together, they began to move deeper into the station. Elias's scanner hummed softly, reading every detail, recording every memory. The more he learned about the mark, the more he realized how little humanity remembered about its own history. He wondered how many other beings had suffered silently because of this oversight. And in that thought, Elias made a silent promise to himself. If the galaxy would not correct the past, he would. The station stretched on endlessly, a maze of shadows, broken machinery, and forgotten memories. But Elias felt something new for the first time in years. Purpose. For Lyra, he was not just a soldier. He was a lifeline, and for Elias, Lyra was a reminder of what humanity could be at its best. Not conquering, not dominating, but responsible. Compassionate. Honest. The two of them walked side by side into the unknown corridors, the glow of the brand lighting their path. Somewhere ahead, the station held secrets that could change everything, and Elias intended to find them. The deeper they went into the station, the heavier the air felt. Dust hung in long, golden beams through broken windows. Shadows twisted across walls, shaped by flickering lights that threatened to fail at any moment. The silence pressed down on them, broken only by their careful footsteps. Elias led the way, his scanner sweeping constantly. Lyra followed closely, her eyes scanning every corner, every shadow. The glow from the mark on her neck seemed to pulse in rhythm with her heartbeat. It was a small comfort to her, proof that someone was there, someone human, someone willing to care. This way, Elias said softly, pausing at a metal door labeled Archive, in both English and alien script. The records should be inside. Lyra hesitated. It's been years since anyone opened this room. The air could be dangerous. Dust, mold, even old security measures. Some of them are still active. I've got it covered, Elias said, kneeling to examine the door's lock mechanism. His fingers moved with practiced skill, bypassing the old seal without setting off alarms. These stations were built to last, but not to hide forever. The information inside is waiting for someone brave enough to find it. Lyra watched him carefully, still uncertain. Brave or foolish? Maybe both, he admitted with a small smile. But someone has to do it. The door groaned as it opened, revealing a room of rows upon rows of data terminals. Screens flickered to life as Elias stepped inside, brushing dust from the nearest console. He activated his suit scanner, feeding the old system a small burst of energy to wake it. The room hummed softly, lights turning on in sequence, as if recognizing his presence. Lyra stepped inside, her eyes widening. It's so much. Yeah, Elias said. All of this is old, but important. If we want to understand your mark, we need to read everything. He began accessing files, scrolling through historical data, military logs, and archived communications. Each terminal contained fragments of information, like pieces of a puzzle scattered across time. This is incredible, Elias murmured. Humans created the mark as a way to protect certain beings during early interstellar diplomacy. It wasn't punishment. It wasn't control. It was supposed to be a promise. Lyra's shoulders relaxed slightly, though her eyes were still wary. A promise that no one ever honored. Elias nodded grimly. Exactly. Somewhere along the way, someone misinterpreted it. Maybe a rival species. Maybe humans themselves. The meaning twisted into fear, and the mark became a symbol of danger instead of safety. Lyra's voice trembled. So all this time, I wasn't cursed. I wasn't dangerous. I was protected. Yes, Elias said firmly. But the galaxy didn't know that. And that's what we need to fix. He continued reading, piecing together communications between Sol Accord leaders and their early diplomats. The files told of a plan called the Legacy Protection Program, a program designed to mark individuals who were under human guardianship during conflicts, ensuring they were not harmed by other species. The idea was simple. A mark that glowed faintly. A visible promise that the human accord was responsible for them. Anyone seeing the mark should know that the individual was safe under human protection. But somewhere along the way, the files hinted at disagreements. Some humans thought the program was unnecessary. Some feared backlash from alien societies. Others ignored it entirely. Over time, the meaning faded. By the time Elias's era had come, the program was officially closed and almost forgotten. Lyra stepped closer, peering at one of the screens. So, the mark is still active because someone didn't turn it off? Not exactly, Elias said. It's active because the technology inside it is self-sustaining. The pulse you see is the last signal of its intended purpose. It's like your mark is waiting for someone to understand it again. Her eyes softened. Waiting. For someone like you? Elias looked away for a moment. I don't know. But I know I can't just walk away. Not now. Not when I see what this has done to you. Describe. And descripts. For a long moment, the room was silent, except for the soft hum of the terminals and the pulse of the mark on Lyra's neck. Then she spoke, her voice small but certain. Elias, if we tell them the truth, what will happen? He paused, thinking. Some people will believe us. Some won't. Some will try to stop us. But if we don't tell anyone, nothing changes. You, others like you, will continue to suffer. Lyra's hand rested on the mark lightly, almost reverently. I've waited for years. For someone to believe me. For someone to care enough to do something. Maybe, that's you. Elias straightened, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. It's not just me. It's humanity itself. We created this. We should fix it. And if no one else does, we will. She smiled faintly, tears glimmering in her eyes. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to hope. He began preparing to transmit the corrected message through the station's relay system. The idea was simple. Broadcast the truth about the Legacy Protection Program. Tell the galaxy that the mark was a promise of protection, not a curse. But as he worked, Lyra warned him again, it won't be easy. Some humans will call it dangerous knowledge. Some aliens will refuse to believe it. Some will fear it. But even if we fail, at least someone knows the truth now. At least, you know it. Elias nodded. Then we try. We can't let fear decide for everyone else. Hours passed as he organized files, prepared messages, and tested the relay. The station, long silent, seemed to respond to their presence. Lights flickered in patterns, almost as if the old technology itself was alive, helping them, guiding them. Lyra moved quietly, exploring the room cautiously but carefully. She had been alone for so long, and every step outside her hiding place was frightening. Yet, Elias's presence gave her courage. He wasn't just a soldier, he was proof that someone cared. Finally, Elias completed the setup. He stepped back, wiping sweat from his brow. It's ready, he said. Once I hit send, everyone will know the truth about the mark. We'll see if the galaxy still fears it, or if it's ready to understand. Right. Lyra's hand rested on his arm. Are you ready? He met her gaze, steady and determined. I've never been more ready in my life. The terminals hummed as the signal prepared to broadcast. Elias took a deep breath, then pressed the final command. The message traveled through the station's old networks, leaping from relay to relay, crossing systems that had not seen a human signal in decades. Outside, across light years of space, sensors would pick up the signal. Ships would pause, eyes would turn. Some would fear it, some would wonder, and some would listen. Back inside the station, the glow of the mark on Lyra's neck brightened slightly, as if responding to the truth finally being told. "Do you feel that?" Elias asked. Lyra nodded. "It's like it's alive. Like it's happy." Elias smiled softly. "It is. This mark was never meant to harm you. It was meant to protect you. And now, it knows that someone understands that." For the first time in years, Lyra felt safe. Not just physically, but in a way she had almost forgotten existed. Someone human had come and refused to walk away. Someone had listened. Someone had cared. Elias looked at the flickering lights of the archive, at the endless rows of terminals, at the history of humanity's mistakes and their intentions. He realized something important. Humanity at its best wasn't about weapons, or strength, or power. It was about responsibility, about caring for others, even when no one else would. And he understood now that this was the real strength of humanity. "Thank you," Lyra whispered, her eyes shining. Elias shook his head. "No, thank you. For letting me help. For trusting me when you had every reason not to." The station hummed softly, like a heart beating in the dark. Outside, stars shone cold and distant. But inside, for the first time in years, there was warmth. They had started a journey not just through the station, but through the galaxy itself. A journey to correct the past, to bring understanding, and to show that humanity's promise could still mean something. And as they sat together in the quiet of the archive, Elias and Lyra knew one thing clearly. They were not alone anymore. Not in the station. Not in the galaxy. Not ever again. The pulse of the mark glowed steadily, a small beacon of hope, and the story was only beginning. It was no longer a place of silence and dust, but a place of purpose. The old lights hummed steadily, casting a warm glow over the corridors. The pulse of the mark on Lyra's neck shone brighter than before, steady and alive. Elias stood at the central terminal, scrolling through more historical files. The broadcast of the corrected information had begun to travel across star systems, carrying the truth of the Legacy Protection Program. Somewhere far beyond this station, someone would listen, but Elias knew it would not be simple. Some humans might refuse to believe it. Some aliens might dismiss it. And some might even try to stop it. Fear had grown stronger than understanding in countless systems. Correcting a misunderstanding that had lasted for decades would take more than a single message. Lyra approached him quietly. "Do you think anyone will believe it?" Elias paused. "Some will. Some won't. But if we don't try, no one ever will. The mark will continue to cause fear, even if it was never meant to." Her hand brushed against his arm. "It feels strange to hope again. I've waited for this moment for years, but I didn't think it would really come." "You deserve that hope," Elias said firmly. "And not just you. Others like you, with the mark, have suffered too long." Lyra nodded, her eyes reflecting the light from the terminals. She was beginning to trust him completely, the way someone does when they have nothing left but faith in another. Elias turned his attention back to the files. The deeper he went, the clearer the picture became. The mark had been created as a symbol of trust, not fear. Humans had designed it to signal safety, to protect beings in dangerous situations. The pulse, the glow, the placement, it was all intentional, but the galaxy had misunderstood. Rival species had seen the mark and assumed humans were taking control of marked individuals. Stories spread across systems of humans claiming or owning aliens, exaggerating every detail. Over time, the mark became a symbol of danger. Elias's heart ached. Humanity had made a promise, and then forgotten it. And countless innocent beings had suffered because of that oversight. "This is bigger than just you," Elias said, looking at Lyra. "Many more have this mark. Many more are hiding, afraid, alone. We have to reach them. We have to show them it's safe." Lyra's face hardened slightly. "And what if they don't believe us? What if they hate humans even more?" Elias shook his head. "Then we try anyway. The truth is worth more than fear." For the next few hours, they worked together. Elias continued to sift through old files, translating messages, organizing them into a clear, simple broadcast. Lyra guided him through details only she knew, information about how the mark affected the galaxy and how it had shaped her life. "It's like they erased us," she said softly. "We existed, and then we were nothing. Just stories of fear and warning." "You weren't erased," Elias said firmly. "Not anymore. I see you. I hear you. And we'll make sure the galaxy sees you too." Finally, they prepared the second broadcast. This one was more detailed, explaining the origin of the mark, its intended purpose, and the misunderstandings that had grown over the decades. It included instructions for how to identify it correctly and how to treat those who bore it not as threats, but as protected individuals. Elias hesitated before hitting the final send command. He knew that this action could have consequences. Some humans might call it reckless. Some aliens might see it as propaganda. But it was necessary. The truth could not wait. He pressed the command. The terminal hummed as the broadcast traveled through the station's ancient relay network. The signal leapt across star systems, passing abandoned satellites, long-forgotten outposts, and active trading posts. Somewhere, in the heart of the galaxy, eyes would turn, ears would listen, and minds would reconsider. Lyra's hand found his again. "Do you think it will work?" she asked quietly. Elias looked at her, the steady glow of the mark on her neck reflecting in his eyes. "I don't know. But someone will believe us. And that is enough to start." They left the archive and walked back into the main corridor of the station. The flickering lights seemed steadier now, as if the station itself had recognized their purpose. For the first time, Elias felt that they were not alone in their mission. "Look," Lyra said, pointing down a side corridor. "There's movement. Someone, or something, is coming." Elias stepped forward cautiously. "Stay behind me." A small ship descended slowly into the station's docking bay. Its hull was sleek, unfamiliar, but not hostile. Sensors indicated life inside. The ship docked automatically, and a ramp extended. Two figures emerged. They were humanoid, but not human. Their skin was a pale silver, and their eyes glowed faintly. They moved carefully, scanning the station, scanning Elias and Lyra. "Do not be afraid," Elias said calmly. "We mean no harm. We are here to correct a misunderstanding." The two figures hesitated, then stepped closer. One of them spoke, their voice melodic but cautious. "We saw the broadcast. The mark. It is alive. It is real. And it is yours to claim?" Elias nodded. "It was never meant to harm anyone. It was meant to protect. That is the truth, and we are here to share it." The figures looked at each other, then at Lyra. "You are safe," one of them said. "We feared. We thought the stories were true, but now, perhaps we were wrong." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. For the first time, someone believed her. Truly believed her. The weight she had carried for years, the loneliness, the fear, the isolation began to lift. Elias smiled faintly. "It will take time. Not everyone will understand immediately. Some will resist. But the truth is out there now." The silver-skinned figures nodded, slowly understanding. "Then we will tell others. We will correct the stories. We will help." Lyra's hand gripped Elias's tightly. "Do you see? You were right. Someone did listen." Elias looked at her, then at the terminals, then at the station that had once been silent and empty. "This is only the beginning. There are more like you, more who need the truth, and we will find them." The pulse of the mark on Lyra's neck glowed steadily, a living proof of their mission. It was no longer a symbol of fear. It was a symbol of hope. Hours passed, and more messages traveled through the galaxy, reaching ships, stations, and planets. Slowly, responses began to come in. Some were cautious, some skeptical, But some were encouraging. Others with the mark revealed themselves quietly, stepping out of hiding. Lyra watched as the first few appeared on her scanner. "They're out there," she whispered. "Others like me. They're alive." "Yes," Elias said. "And now they will not be alone. Not anymore." They spent the rest of the cycle helping each new arrival. Every individual brought their own story of fear, isolation, and misunderstanding, but with Elias and Lyra, they found guidance, compassion, and protection. The station, once abandoned and forgotten, became a center of hope. Not a military outpost, not a battlefield, but a beacon. A place where the truth could be shared, where fear could be replaced with understanding. Elias understood something deeply in those hours. Humanity's greatest strength was not in its weapons, its colonies, or its fleets. It was in its willingness to take responsibility, to correct its mistakes, to show compassion when it mattered most. And that, he realized, was what the galaxy truly feared. Not human power, but human honesty and care. The pulse of the mark on Lyra's neck shone brighter than ever. It was no longer a warning. It was a promise. And together, Elias and Lyra were ready to keep that promise no matter how long it took. For the first time in years, Lyra smiled freely. Not a smile of fear, not of hope half-formed, but a real, genuine smile. She was no longer alone, and humanity, through Elias, had begun to show its true face. It had become a hub of life, voices, and purpose. Small ships arrived from distant systems, some bearing messages, others carrying individuals marked by the glowing legacy symbols. They were cautious at first, but the moment they saw Lyra and Elias, their fear softened. The mark that had haunted them for years was no longer a curse, it was proof of protection, of care, of hope. Elias stood at the entrance of the docking bay, watching the first of the new arrivals step onto the metal floor. The aliens were very different shapes, sizes, and colors, but all carried the faint glow of the human mark. Some trembled. Some paused, unsure if they were stepping into safety or danger. "You're safe," Elias said gently, his voice calm and steady. "No one here will harm you. You're not alone anymore." A tall, thin being with silver skin looked at him, then at the pulse on Lyra's neck. We have been waiting for someone to say that," it said. Its voice was soft, melodic, full of years of fear and loneliness. Elias smiled faintly. "Then, listen carefully. Humanity created the mark as a promise. Not a threat, not a weapon, a promise. And that promise still exists." One by one, the arrivals began to relax. Lyra moved among them, offering gentle words, small gestures of reassurance. She had spent years hiding, fearing the galaxy itself. Now, she was not only safe but a guide to others like her. For the first time, she realized what it meant to have a community. To be believed. To be part of something larger than her isolation. Elias joined her. "You see," he said, "this mark, it was never meant to be a curse. And now, we can show everyone that." Lyra nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. "It's more than I ever dreamed. You didn't just fix the misunderstanding. You gave us a place to belong." Elias shook his head. "I didn't do it alone. You trusted me. That mattered more than anything." They worked together over the next cycles, coordinating communications across the galaxy. Messages were sent to trading stations, colonies, and distant fleets. They explained the true purpose of the Legacy Protection Program, the history of the mark, and how it should be interpreted. Responses began to arrive. Some humans expressed surprise, some suspicion, but many responded with support, eager to correct the mistakes of the past. Alien species that had once feared the mark began to acknowledge it as a symbol of trust, not danger. Slowly, the galaxy's perception began to change. Lyra watched a small group of aliens cluster together, comparing marks and exchanging stories. They laughed softly, shared memories, and expressed relief that they were no longer alone. Her heart felt lighter than it had in years. "You see," Elias said quietly, "the galaxy can change. Slowly. But it can." She smiled, her eyes shining. "It's like we're finally allowed to exist without fear." Elias nodded. "Exactly. And humans, we finally get to show what we're capable of, at our best. Not weapons or fleets, but responsibility, care, and honesty." Outside the station, the stars stretched endlessly, cold and distant. Yet inside, there was warmth, life, community. The station, once abandoned, was now a symbol of hope. The pulse of the mark on Lyra's neck glowed steadily. It was no longer a warning or a sign of fear. It was a beacon, visible to all who had the mark, connecting them to each other and to the promise humanity had made long ago. Elias and Lyra walked through the corridors, checking on the new arrivals. Each story was different, but all carried the same thread: years of fear, isolation, and misunderstanding. Now, they were met with understanding, with compassion, with care. "You've changed everything," Lyra said softly as they paused by a window overlooking the docking bay. "All of this, it wouldn't have happened without you." Elias shook his head. "No. Humanity changed it. And now, it's up to all of us to keep that promise alive." She nodded, her hand brushing the faint glow of her mark. "I never thought anyone would see me. Truly see me. And now, they do." Elias looked at the arrivals again. They were beginning to form connections, some shyly, some with cautious excitement. Slowly, the pulse of their collective marks formed a rhythm, a network of light and hope stretching across the station. This is only the beginning," he said. "The galaxy will take time, but it will learn. We've started something important. Something lasting." Lyra smiled fully now, no fear, no doubt. "And we'll keep going." Together, for the first time in years, she felt the true meaning of belonging. Not just surviving, not just hiding, not just hoping belonging. Elias watched the scene, feeling a quiet pride. Humanity's greatest power was not conquest or technology, but empathy, responsibility, and the courage to act when no one else would. The station, alive with gentle voices and soft laughter, felt like a living testament to that truth. And in that quiet moment, as the stars glimmered beyond the reinforced windows, Elias and Lyra understood something profound. What humans leave behind is not always walls or weapons. Sometimes it is trust. Sometimes it is hope. Sometimes it is a promise kept against all odds. The pulse of Lyra's mark glowed brighter than ever, steady and strong, connecting all those who bore the symbol. It was a light that would guide the lost, a symbol that would remind the galaxy of what humans could be at their best. Elias placed a hand on Lyra's shoulder. "This is only the start, but it's enough for today." She leaned slightly into him, a small gesture of gratitude and trust. "It's more than enough. We have each other, and that makes all the difference." Outside, the stars shone coldly, indifferent to the struggles of life below. But inside the station, light and warmth spread. Alien voices mingled with human words. Laughter. Stories. The pulse of the marks connecting everyone in quiet solidarity. For Lyra, Elias, and all the others who bore the mark, the galaxy was no longer a place of fear. It was a place where they could exist, belong, and finally be free. And in that knowledge, the station was no longer abandoned. The galaxy was no longer silent. Humanity had left behind something greater than any weapon or fleet. A promise kept, a mark understood, and a beacon of hope that would shine across the stars for years to come. Elias looked around at the bustling station, at the small smiles and tentative conversations forming among those who had suffered for decades. "We did it," Lyra said softly. "No," Elias replied, shaking his head with a gentle smile. "They did it. Humanity did it. And now, so will they. The pulse of Lyra's mark, steady and warm, lit the room like a quiet heartbeat. It was a promise, a sign, a symbol of everything humans could achieve when they chose care over fear, understanding over misunderstanding. And as the first new arrivals shared their stories with others, as the station continued to hum with life, Elias knew something important. This was what humans were meant to leave behind, not just history, not just technology, but hope, truth, and a reminder that no one needed to suffer alone. The station was alive. The galaxy had begun to understand. And the marks, once symbols of fear, were now beacons of protection and trust. For Elias, for Lyra, and for everyone touched by the legacy of the mark, the future was no longer something to fear. It was something to build together. And so, in the quiet hum of the revived station, amidst the gentle glow of the marks, humanity showed its finest face, a face of compassion, responsibility, and hope.